Hi everyone, Rachel Jensen here, broker owner of Luna Realty Belize in the beautiful country of Belize. We are in the inbox today, which is when we answer questions that have been asked by folks like you. So in this series, we are on question number 88. If you are new to this series, make sure you listen to this answer and then jump back to the last 87 questions before this. There's a lot of great information that has been covered and information that you really should know if you are planning to own real estate here in Belize. So we're going to jump into this week's question. It was asked by Jen. And Jen said, what is the difference between the west and the east beaches of Ambergris Caye? So that is a fantastic question. And traditionally, historically, I would say that Ambergris Caye was not necessarily known as a destination where you go to have those white, sandy walk-in beaches, like if you think Bahamas or the US British Islands. Now, I know we want to think like that because Belize is a Caribbean destination. Ambergris Caye is a Caribbean island. However, Ambergris Caye really became famous because of the reef. So we have the longest living reef just paralleling the island. When we look out in the distance, about a quarter of a mile, in some areas even closer, we're able to be at the reef. So this destination was really known for its incredible fishing and diving and snorkeling. And in the 70s, when this location, Ambergris Caye, really blew up, it was because of those water activities, the fishing, the diving, and the snorkeling. Now, today, let's jump fast forward, was it 50 years? And what we've seen is that this island has become more of a general tourism destination. So people who may not have any interest in fishing, diving, or snorkeling are coming here to Ambergris Caye. What's driving a lot of people here is how family friendly it is. The fact that we drive golf carts, that's our primary mode of transportation, and the locals and the community are so warm and welcoming. And so you tend to find a lot of people who are coming here for vacation, bringing their kids, bringing their grandkids, or kids bringing their parents. And it really has become a fun place for people to visit. It's a place that we tend to see a lot of tourists visit year after year after year. And in many cases, in some like mine, where you come down and you don't end up leaving. And so what you'll find though, is that each of the different areas of the island has a different feel to it. But today I'm going to talk specifically about the beaches and what you should expect when you're coming to Ambergris Caye. So let's talk about the east side first. The east side is where we have the reef paralleling Ambergris Caye. So when you look at a Google Maps picture, you'll see the different shades of blue. It goes from really dark blue, then you see a line, and then it gets really light blue as you get closer to the island. When you're looking at the dark blue, that is outside of the reef. You're looking at hundreds of feet in many areas. Then you get to the reef, and then when you're inside the reef in this area right over here, you're looking at anywhere from a few inches to 10, 12 feet. So it's not deep within the reef. Once you go outside of the reef, that's where you're finding a lot of the deep sea fishing happening. But when you're within the reef, you do tend to see it's pretty shallow. Now, again, coming back to what the island was really known for in the 70s with the fishing, diving, and snorkeling. So if you're somebody who finds it important to have quick access to those water activities, you're likely going to be looking at real estate on the east side of the island. Now, I do want to talk to you about the pros and cons of each of the area, just so you can know what to expect if you haven't been here before. So of course, the east side, you have really, really incredible sunrises, depending on the time of year. That sun can be rising anywhere from 5 in the morning to about 6:30 in the morning. It is so incredibly beautiful, something that you do not want to miss. You do tend to find, even if you're not necessarily a morning bird here, that a lot of times the activities that we're doing throughout the day, we tend to take advantage of the sun. So you go to bed early, you wake up early. It's really quite beautiful. In addition to that, we talked about the quick access to the reef. So in many locations, you're just 5 minutes away, 5-minute boat ride from being right out on the reef. So if you want to get to those water activities quicker, this is the side that you want to be on. In addition to that, you do have to note that there is sargassum certain times of the year. So sargassum is what you see on the bottom right-hand page, picture here on the screen. And it happens seasonally all throughout the Caribbean. It's not just something that you see here in Ambergris Caye or in Belize. Sargassum is essentially seagrass, it's not quite seagrass, but it's a form of that comes up to the island, that comes up to the coast there, and then decomposes. So there is a certain time of the year that it happens. This year in 2024, it's been really quite mild. I know in 2023, we had more sargassum coming. I can't tell you how regularly it's going to happen or how frequently or how much sargassum there's going to be. But do note that on the east side of the island, there are certain channels and cuts throughout the reef. So if you want to be in an area that has less sargassum, then you probably want to be in an area where there's not necessarily that channel or that cut. And you can talk to your real estate advisor about that. They're typically able to help you out on where those best areas are. But again, this isn't all year. This is just certain parts of the year. And again, it really just depends on Mother Nature. Like I mentioned, this year has been so incredibly mild, thank goodness. But 2023, we did have more. And so what tends to happen is if you're looking within a resort or you're looking within a condominium project, there does tend to be caretakers or groundskeepers who will be removing the sargassum as it's coming in. But of course, it's something that we do need to note because it is something to expect at certain times of the year. What you'll also find on the east side is that you have more seawalls. So in Belize, there's a general law that beach is public. It's called Queensland. It does not belong to anybody. I guess it belongs to Queen, rest in peace. But this is Queensland. It is accessible for everybody here in the country. You don't own the beach. And I know this is something different for a lot of Americans because in the States, that's your beach, right? You can close it off. People can't access it. That's not the case here in Belize. So everybody has access to the beach. In fact, the first 66 feet of beachfront is called Queensland. So what you'll tend to find is there are certain areas on the east side. You'll tend to see this more on the east side than the west side, where the seawalls have been extended. Seawalls have been put in, extended. It also helps prevent against erosion, and people have been able to extend out the beach to be further. So this is also a way that people are preventing the sargassum from coming up on their shore. So this is something that you tend to see here, but because people enjoy being on the reef side, look at that bottom picture right over there. You just have so many shades of blue, beautiful turquoise waters right there in front of you. People do like to be on the reef side. So what happens is because there are many seawalls, people and hotels tend to compensate at that for their property by having really, really nice pools. So many of the hotels, many of the residential condo complexes, the residential homes, you'll tend to find really nice pools when they are there on the reef side. Now, what you'll also tend to find on the reef side are more docks, because as you can see in this picture below, see that white line right over there? That's the reef. You can see how close the reef is to the coastline over here. The reef is such an incredible saving grace for this island as well. In addition to the vibrant marine life, incredible corals that's out there, the reef is just something that we really appreciate here in Belize. So we do tend to make sure that our reef is well protected. And in Belize, it's actually illegal to remove living seagrass. So although you may be tempted when you're looking at this bottom picture over here, you may be tempted to take out the seagrass that you see here, that's more of that brownish area. It's illegal to do so because that's natural habitat. That's where the sea turtles are, for example. That's where there's fish that are spawning. So you want to make sure that you are leaving the habitat in its natural environment. And because of that reason, that's why you see the pools, but you also see a lot of the docks here like we were getting to, because the reef is right there. So people will park their boats, or if you're doing a tour or activity that's in the water, the tour company will tend to pick you up here along the coastline at the docks. So it's important for you to note, if being and having quick access to the reef is important to you, then the east side is what you want. You will also tend to find that there's a majority of properties, condos, single family homes that are on the reef side. This is the part of the island that has developed the most, the quickest, before anything that's been done on the west side. Because if you look at my map where you see San Pedro town, this was really where the island was started. Right here, San Pedro town on the reef side, because when it came to trading, when it came to accessibility, it was easy for the boats to come right up here into the core of San Pedro town. So as the island continued to expand, it went in that north and that southward direction along the eastern coast. So with that being said, we do also have a majority of the utilities on the east side of the island. So follow my cursor. We're going to go up the coast to Tranquility Bay. This is currently where the electricity stops, but you do have public electricity going all the way south, down here, the southern part of the island, all the way up to Tranquility Bay. Now, once you go north of the bridge, there's no public water. So everyone north of the bridge, regardless if you're east side or west side, everyone north of the bridge, you see the bridge right over here, they are on their own water system, whether it's reverse osmosis, a well, rainwater catchment. So that is nothing new to the island. Contractors know exactly how to be dealing with that, but just wanted to make that point known as well. But you can see Tranquility Bay, that's the one I just mentioned, 14 miles north, right over here. Tranquility Bay has some of the best beaches on the east side of the island. So it's not uncommon when somebody is looking to do a little beach day. If they don't want to go over to the secret beach area, they'll pack their cooler, head up in their golf cart along the beach road, go up north to Tranquility Bay to enjoy this view over here. So hope that gives you a good idea of the east side. Now the west side is newer to develop. So Secret Beach, this area right over here, really started to come to market about 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. which is when the developers started selling off lots in this area. I remember going up there in 2012, and like we had a machete in the golf cart with us because we had to cut through some of the jungle-like feel because there really wasn't a dedicated road going out to this area. It was very, very rough. If you've been to Belize recently and you think going to Secret Beach is rough, whew, back in 2012, I mean, it probably took us about 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes to get there versus the 45 minutes that it takes now. But it was definitely an adventure. But with that being said, the west side of the island over here, this is newer to develop. Right, we were talking about San Pedro town and in the 70s it being really known for diving, and that's why people are coming to the island. Well, now we think about Secret Beach really over the last 12 to 15 years has started to come to the marketplace. Really over the last, I would say, 6 to 7 years, Secret Beach has really started to take off. So in this area, really along all of the west side of the island, there are no utility hookups. It is completely off-grid. So Secret Beach is completely off-grid. There's no public electricity there. There's no public water. I don't know if Secret Beach will get electricity. You know, that's just something that we'll see if it happens. But it is right now off-grid. And so something else that you will tend to find on the west side of the island are more of mangroves. You can see that here in Bracelet Caye. Look at my cursor over here. This is the Bracelet Caye area that we're talking about. Bracelet, this right area by the Ambergris Lagoon, and then also in this area here is where you tend to have some of the best fly fishing in the world. This is an area where you can find the Grand Slam, the permit, the tarpon, the bonefish. And so you will see more mangroves there. And you will see it's still that crystal clear water underneath the boat that you can see right over there at the Bracelet Caye area. Now coming back to Secret Beach for a minute. So this coastline and a lot of Secret Beach is actually man-made beach. It is a limestone, it's limestone over there. So you will see that it is very hard material in many parts of the Secret Beach area. And the beaches that were created right over here, like you see this Maruba area, this is all artificial beach. They brought in sand to build out this beach here. Now, with that being said, there are also some natural coves along the west side of the island where it is the beautiful natural sand that you would expect when you're thinking a beach destination, but this side of the island is not nearly as developed as the east side. So if you're somebody who is going to be owning here, if you're anywhere south of Secret Beach and you're on the west side, do anticipate that your property is going to be boat access only at this time. Will the road continue south? Probably at some point. When, I have no idea, but there are certainly areas that the road probably can't go to because it hasn't been surveyed or they're just little islands off of the coast. So do note that. And then Turquoise Seas, this is also a condo project at Secret Beach. I know a lot of people have been looking at this little condo project specifically because they're looking right at the turquoise waters. There's no sargassum on this side, and they just absolutely love the beautiful shades of blue that they're seeing there from the condo complex. So something again to consider is if you want to be on the west side, of course, you'll get that beautiful sunset. And you also tend to get that shallow turquoise waters looking right out. And on this side of the island, Blackador Caye, right over here, this is Leonardo DiCaprio's island. So I know a lot of people like to think, oh, I can see Leo's island from here. And then in addition to that, there's Cayo Rosario, which is where Six Senses is going. Construction has started. When that'll finish, I don't know, but that is also under construction right over here. I'm going to give you 2 bonuses because this is an area that people do tend to be looking at real estate as well. And that is going to be here on the lagoon. So the blue circled lagoon is the area that I'm talking about. It's around the San Pedro downtown area. If you take the boat, there's a couple boat shuttles for the specific projects on this side. We'll go to Aruna, for example. There's a boat shuttle that goes back and forth to Aruna for people who are guests or owners or dining at the restaurant there. It's about 5 minutes, just so you can understand time-wise how long it takes to get from town to Aruna. Now, within the Ambergris Lagoon here, some of the areas are on public electricity. So Aruna, for example, they do have public electricity. They also have solar. But once you start going down south, Test Village, for example, they do have electricity. And then continuing down, there is the Turtle Island, that is off-grid. So that's in the southern part over here. But once you go north of Aruna, this is all off-grid. So this is when you start to get to more of that west side of the island, the Secret Beach. So if having electricity, public electricity is something that's really important to you, just make sure that you mention that to your real estate agent so that they can help direct you in the area that makes the most sense. So with this lagoon here, you will tend to find that has a variety of marine life depending on the time of year. I go over to Aruna quite a bit, and we've had dolphin, stingrays over there, starfish. It's shallow, and you can see just depending on what the skies look like will depend on what the water looks like. I know some people are like, I need that crystal clear turquoise blue waters all the time. Well, it just depends mostly on what the sun is doing at that time, but you will see it is a mix here in the lagoon of that crystal clear water when the sky is blue, but then we also have the seagrass over here because there's a variety of marine life. And remember, it's illegal to remove living seagrass. We don't want to be removing it. We want to make sure the marine life is thriving. So this area also does not tend to be affected by sargassum. It's the east side of the island that tends to be affected by sargassum. So in order for it to get to the lagoon, it will need to go around the island and in the little channel over here. So it has a much, much longer path to travel if it is indeed going to be making it into the lagoon. So you will see these pictures. These are pictures of what you can expect. This is Sunset Caribe, which, if you can follow my cursor, is located right over here in this area, just north of Mangrove Bay. And as you can see, you have really beautiful sunsets from this area. Now, the one more bonus I'm going to give to you is Tarpon Bay. Tarpon Bay is another popular area in the South. The South tends to drive people who are looking at more of a residential experience. You're not necessarily interested in putting your condo in the rental market. In fact, you may even want a single family home, not a condo. This tends to be a great area. There's less construction happening down here, so you don't have to hear the trucks that are going back and forth on the northern side. But this area over here, I really think of it as more of like a lake. It is shallow. You will have the seagrass, not the sargassum, the seagrass, but you're not necessarily affected by the sargassum either, again, because the sargassum is on the east side of the island. You do have electricity in most of the Tarpon Bay area. When you start to go to the southern part of Tarpon Bay, down towards the end over here, you don't have electricity. You'll have to bring it in, or you can do solar. But these are pictures from a property called Playa de Sala. It's a boutique adult-only hotel, and you can see that they created a little beach area to be able to go into the water. They put in their little palapas, their little tiki umbrellas right over there. I know they have kayaks and paddle boards, so you can still do those sort of activities there if that's something important to you. And then something else to note is that being on this side of the island, you're on the south, really on the southwest, but you can see the water is different than if you were on the general west side of the island. You do have tons of tarpon in this area, as the name suggests, being Tarpon Bay. So as you can see, each of the areas that has water is very different. Sometimes I hesitate on really calling it a beach because it's not necessarily that beach that we have in our mind where it's that white sandy beach and crystal clear waters that you just walk into. But this is Belize, and the big reason why people are coming to the island is to experience the water activities. We say in Belize, you go on the boat and you're out in the water. You're not necessarily just walking right into the water like you may have imagined. But that's what makes Belize and Ambergris Caye really unique, is having that reef right here, so incredibly close. It is so close. And that's why people come for the fishing, diving, snorkeling, to be right in the middle of it. So if you're somebody who's planning to spend time here in Belize, reach out to us. We would love to send you this e-guide for considerations like residency. What does it take to get a work permit? Those are the sort of details that you really need to start looking into if you're planning to spend time here. So reach out to us. We'd love to get this over to you. It's an e-copy, an electronic copy. Info at Luna Realty Belize is the best way to reach out to us, and we will certainly get these details over to you. All right, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in, and we look forward to showing you Belize when you're here in person. Bye, everyone.